back to our channel. So how are we all doing? I believe we're all doing fine. So I want to welcome all of you, both my new and my returning subscribers. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for the love. God bless you. So my amazing people, in this channel from time to time, we bring forth motivational talks, motivational tips, motivational stories that can change someone's life. So for today, we have an amazing story. The story is about this certain lady, Dr. Edgar. Here she is. She is a Holocaust survivor. The Holocaust during the time of Hitler, when the Jews were being burnt alive. So, my amazing people, one thing I want to say is that in this life, it's not about what happens to you, but it's about what you do with that thing that happens to you. It's about your reaction to what happens to you. A lot of times we complain, oh, if only this had happened to me when I was young, I would not have been in this situation. If only my daddy sent me to school when I was young, I would have been a better person today. Oh yeah, he didn't send you to school, but what did you do with your life? Did you continue to mourn over the fact that he didn't send you to school, or you moved on? As long as you have life, things can turn around. As long as there is life, there is hope. Just listen to this lady.
In Auschwitz, I saw the sign. I didn't know where I was. My father was separated, and I stood in front of Dr. Mengele, the angel of death. My mom was in the middle, and my sister Magda on one side, and I on the other side. And then he asked, "Is this your mother, or is this your sister?" I told him, "It's my mother." He pointed to the left, and I followed my mom, and then he grabbed me and looked me in the eyes. I never forget those eyes. And he said that I'm going to see my mother very soon. She's just going to take a shower. And promptly threw me on the other side, which meant life. When we arrived at the other side, I asked an inmate, "When will I see my mother?" And she pointed at the chimney, and fire was coming out of the chimney, and she said, "Your mother is burning there. You better talk about her in past tense." I could never ever forgive myself that I said, "It's my mother."
So apparently, this lady, she was 16 years at the time. She was living with her father, her mother, and her sister. And then one day, the soldiers came forth and told them they were taking them to Auschwitz. Auschwitz is a concentration camp in Poland. The soldier that was in control of the camp, he was called Dr. Mengele. When they arrived and the father was taken away from them, he was separated, he was taken to another place. So she was there with the mother and the sister. And so Mengele asked her, "Who is this lady?" That was referring to the mother. "Who is this lady? Is she your mother or your sister?" And then she said, "It's my mother." And so Dr. Mengele pointed at the left, that the mother should go to the left. So she was following the mother, but this guy pulled her back and said, "Don't worry, your mother will be right back. She just needs to take her bath." And so she was taken to a different place. And when she went to the other place, she was asking the officer there, "When will I see my mother?" So the officer said, "Forget about your mother. Talk about your mother in past tense. You see this chimney, this fire here? Your mother is burning in this fire." And she said she never forgave herself for saying that woman was her mother. Maybe if she had said it was her sister, they wouldn't have burned her mother alive. She kept that pain in her for 20 whole years. Just continue watching this story.
Dr. Mengele appeared in our barracks,
searching for talented inmates to entertain him.
and my friends volunteered me.
"Dance," he commands again. I can hear his voice over the music. He discusses with the other officer which ones of the 100 girls present will be killed next. If I miss a step, it could be me. He must be impressed by my performance because he tosses me a loaf of bread. I share the bread with Magda and our bunkmates.
One day, Dr. Mengele, he appeared in their barracks and he was searching for inmates who would dance and entertain him. So all her friends, they volunteered that she, Dr. Edgar, should be the one to go and entertain this guy. So they call him Angel of Death. When he appears, death must occur. Everybody volunteered that she should be the one to go and entertain Dr. Mangala. At that time, she was a little girl of 16 years old, So they took her out. And in her mind, she was so scared. Because if she didn't dance well, there would be a bullet on her head. She danced so well that at the end, Dr. Mangala was impressed and gave her a loaf of bread. And that bread, she took back to her barracks and shared it with two of her friends. And she said one thing. While she was dancing for Dr. Mangala, she heard Dr. Mangala discussing with the other officials the next 100 girls that were supposed to be burnt, that were supposed to be killed. You can imagine that. So just continue watching. We're almost at the end, but I just cut it short so that it shouldn't take so much time.
They took me out of Auschwitz. I became a slave laborer to enter a death march. And in the death march, when you stopped, you were shot right away. When I was about to stop, that the girls that I shared the bread with, they formed a chair in their arms and they carried me so I won't die.
So after some time, she was taken out of the concentration camp and she worked as a slave laborer. She suffered, and as a slave laborer, there's something they call the death march. Death march, you'll be walking, a group of people are walking, a group of them slaves, they're walking, and if you stop, you're being shot down. They push her into the death march. So she was walking, and apparently she got so tired, and she almost fainted. But those girls with whom she shared a loaf of bread, they formed something like a bed to carry her because they didn't want her to die. And she said, as she was in the death march, all she could see around her were body parts. Because as you're on the death march, if you stop or if you fall, they shoot you down. That's how far evil was being done.
I was liberated May 4th, 1945. My teeth were separated from my gums. I had 5 kinds of typhoid fever. I could hardly breathe. I was filled with water. They were going to amputate my legs, and reality hit me. I realized my parents are not coming back. I had nothing to get up for because I had no meaning and purpose. I suffered so many years from survivor's guilt and shame, wondering why me. I was blessed to be able to go back to school. I graduated with honors. I never showed up for my graduation because I had so much survivor's guilt. And one of them was kind of in a fetal position. Why me? Angry, cursing God, country. Conversely, the other one says to me, Doc, I'm sitting in a wheelchair and I'm so grateful that God gave me a second chance in life.
So she said she was finally liberated on the 4th of May 1945. And when she was liberated, she had nothing to live for. Everything was gone. She was so sick. She said she had 4 types of typhoid. There was water all over her body. She could not breathe. Her legs had to be amputated. Her teeth were separated from her gum. What did she see? She went through hell. She went through thick and thin. And to crown it all, she lost everybody. She had nothing to live for. But listen to what happened.
I decided to go back to Auschwitz. Recognizing I had my secret and the secret had me. I was able to go back to that lion's den and look at the lion in the face. I was able to somehow reclaim my innocence, assign the shame and guilt to the perpetrator, and finally forgive myself that I survived. I regained that power. That was the most positive thing. Not only I have 3 children, I have 5 grandchildren and 3 beautiful great-grandchildren. I feel so fortunate. to let you know not to ever give up, to find hope in hopelessness, because suffering gives you strength. Isn't that amazing that the worst conditions can bring out the best in us? It's not what happens, it's what you do with it.
So she said she suffered so many years from survivor's guilt and shame. You know, she was feeling guilty. Why did she survive? Well, whereas others died, she lived with that guilt, you know. But then, she said, eventually, she was able to go back to school. She graduated with honors degree. You know what that means. But on the day of her graduation, she still didn't show up because she still had that guilt in her. Others had died. Why did she survive? At one point, she had two things in her coming out from her mind. One part of her was cursing God, was cursing the country, was grumbling, was regretting, was crying. The other part of her was thanking God for giving her a second chance to live. But still, she was not free within herself. She didn't forgive herself for everything that had happened. So she decided to face her fears. One blessed day, she went back to that concentration camp. She faced her fears. When she went there, after going through the place, she decided to forgive herself. And she put all the blame on the perpetrators, on those who had killed the other people. She did not cause it. It was not her fault. So she finally regained herself, liberated herself. My dear friends, this woman went through thick and thin. She went through hell. She lost everything she had in this life. But because God gave her a second chance to live, she made use of that second chance. This video is to encourage someone out there. It doesn't matter what you've lost in this life. It doesn't matter the pain you've gone through in this life. Maybe you've lost your whole family. Maybe you've lost your business. Maybe you've lost everything you've got. Get up. Face your fears. Regain your strength. Forge ahead. As long as there is life, there is hope. Dr. Edgar went through thick and thin. Her story is so inspiring. We do not pray for terrible things to happen to us in this life. But when it happens, and as long as you are still alive, you move ahead. No matter the pain you have as a result of that thing, do not stay there and weep over your life. If God has given you a second chance to live, if God has given you a second chance to turn your life around, do not waste that chance. That is why I always encourage each and every one of us to hold on to God. He is the ultimate. Isn't Dr. Edgar an amazing person? Isn't our God an awesome God? Thank you, beautiful people, for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye.